Welcome to this episode of the Connecting Faith to Life podcast. I'm Trey Rhodes, the Connections pastor at Northwood Baptist Church here in North Charleston, South Carolina. In just a few moments, our lead pastor, Dr. Tommy Metter, will be joining the conversation as well. In our crazy and chaotic world, our hope is that these few minutes will help you stop and reflect on your relationship with Jesus as you learn to connect Christ-centered faith to your everyday life. And we are on episode 253 here at the Connecting Faith to Life podcast. And as always, as you listen today, take a minute or so, invite someone to come listen with you, or post it on Facebook or Twitter, or text them and tell them in your small group, all kind of ways you can let them know about the podcast and get them listening actively. And by the way, all kind of subjects, I want to say that. And you can go back and look and see all the subjects and ways that you can really tune up and help you to truly connect your faith to your life. Well, Pastor, it's good to have you back.
I wasn't gone anywhere, was I? Was I missing?
Oh, you weren't.
I've been here.
Kevin, I was thinking Kevin being on. Never mind.
I was in the room when he was here, Pops.
I was so enthralled.
This is one
I was so enthralled with him.
You're having a senior moment, Pops. You're having a senior moment because I was right here.
You're right, Brett. You're right. I don't know what came over me.
Well, you can't help it. I mean, when you're as old as you are, those kinds of things just happen.
I know. I'm 135, going on 136. So
it's okay. Well, I'm heading that way too. I mean, I got wild before I get there, but I'm heading that way too.
It's downhill, baby. I'm telling you. It's rough.
Yeah, well, anyway. But you're still looking good, Pops. Like
that's who we missed. There we go.
We missed Scott.
Yeah, Scott. There we go. Okay, I knew there was somebody.
If you listen to the recording, you heard it was a disaster. But Scott's back. But you are still looking great, Pops. You're still looking slim and trim.
Slim and trim. I haven't gained an ounce.
So you're still doing a pretty strict diet, or are you eating whatever you want now?
Nah, I'm eating what I want. I don't know what happened. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm not gaining weight.
So now you can eat what you want, and that's everybody's dream is to be able to eat what they want and not gain an ounce.
I will never eat again like I did. Oil. I ate lots of oil before.
What's wrong with that?
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. For me, it just huge calories. It
is.
And all the milk products, anything, cheese and
all
sour
the good stuff.
cream.
So you don't eat the good stuff anymore.
But now I'll eat a piece of cake if it has.
So you're on a rabbit diet, something? You eat lettuce and carrots?
No, I eat a lot of. I eat steak, baked potatoes, and all that stuff.
Okay,
dude,
it's just the oil.
Yes, seriously, it probably cut 1,000 calories out of my diet.
Well, it will. I mean, if you, especially eating that old in a fried way, that doesn't help you out. Chick-fil-A and
yeah. So anyway,
hey, I fried shrimp Friday night, by the way.
Oh man, I saw you carrying them. Remember, I asked you where you got the shrimp.
Oh yeah, that's right. Somebody in our church turned me on to a good deal.
Dude, you should have called me. I would have been there. I would have helped you eat them. Sam's Club. If you're listening, I mean, they're probably imported from Thailand or somewhere. I have no idea, but who cares? You can get Sam's. 3 pounds of shrimp, $15. That's a deal. That's $5 a pound. That's good. When we lived in New Orleans years ago, that was the Gulf Coast shrimp. There's nothing like them. I'm going to go on a rabbit trail now. There's nothing like Gulf Coast shrimp. They're big. They have they're a different flavor. I don't know how to describe it, but it's got a little bit different flavor than the ones we have here on the East Coast. And you could literally get them on the side of the street. We can do it in Charleston here, but I don't see it as much as I did in New Orleans. Where those shrimpers will go out in the morning as they come in. And you should go buy shrimp, fresh shrimp, heads on, everything still, and it was like $4 a pound. Now it was wild. I go down to Shem Creek a lot. Yeah. Now, that's where I don't get shrimp from anywhere except Shem Creek. So I'll go down to Mount Pleasant Seafood or wherever they are.
But I've been in there, but it's not cheap. It's usually when I've been, it's $9-10 a pound.
It can be. I get heads on, so that's different. Yeah, I get $3 or $4 a pound heads on and.
They're big. Yeah, I don't mind having the heads on. Just snap those things right off, and
doesn't bother me a bit. And anyway, that's how we eat them.
Yeah, I like some shrimp. Shrimp gumbo, shrimp etouffee, fried shrimp.
And you cook
shrimp fettuccine.
Now, see, I ate your etouffee, right?
Yeah, you did. You did.
That was good.
You did. I do a good etouffee. I'm a pretty good cook.
You do
That's
a great job,
why Stacy married
brother.
me, because of my cooking ability.
It's good to have something in your side pocket there.
Hey, that's one of my dreams someday. Is if there ever comes a day, which I doubt there will, that I'm not a pastor, whatever the case may be, I'd love to open a restaurant. That's like kind of one of the dreams back in the back of my mind. It'd be kind of cool to open a little restaurant.
And Tommy is a great chef. Chef Tommy.
Chef Tommy.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So, man, okay.
I'm going to do it someday.
I'll come be your sous chef. I'll cut up everything for you. I love to chop. I love to chop.
Well, let's move on to different things.
Yeah, we are in the process as a staff, not staff, I guess, our pastoral leadership. We're reading through books, and we constantly read through books, and I think that's a good thing. And I was telling you a story before we started about several guys in my seminary that I graduated from seminary with said when they leave seminary, they will never read another book as long as they live.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, and I think that some people, for all the, I would say wrong reasons, have chosen, not to read. They might watch TV or whatever, but they're just not going to read anymore.
Yeah, we're talking about something a little bit different today that when I tell you what we're talking about, you're going to think, well, that's not very spiritual, but it is.
It is,
it's very
brother.
helpful.
It is very.
And we're going to talk today about how to be a better reader.
Mm-hmm. I think that's very spiritual.
Yeah, because, obviously, the Bible is a very significant book that we need to read to grow in our faith. Mm-hmm. But, man, just throughout the centuries, there have been so many godly men and women who have written just tremendous books that help us to understand Scripture, that help us to understand the nature of God, that help us understand Christian living. There's just a plethora of books that have been written over the years that are super helpful, and it is a wise use of your time to build the habit of reading. I know that, again, some of you thinking, I'm going to turn this episode off. I don't want to. But listen, I can just tell you personally, over the course of my life, how instrumental books have been. There's not many conversations I have where I don't say, hey, I got a book you should read. Mm-hmm. I'm always referring people to books.
You've referred several to me that have
because,
been huge.
It's just helpful for your spiritual development to be a good reader. I don't know who it was who said it, but the old saying, leaders are readers.
Yeah.
You ever heard that? Leaders are readers.
I've heard it, and I agree with it.
I think about, obviously I've learned a lot theologically from reading books over the years, but I've also learned much about being a leader, a father, just by, reading through good books. And we live in a time where it's increasingly difficult to read because we're busy and because, there's all kinds of media that is trying to pull our attention away from reading. But, man, if you'll get in the habit of just reading books, it'll expand your mind. It'll help you. And so I just want to challenge you today on this episode to be a better reader. And I want to talk to you about some ways that you can be a better reader.
Okay. Well, let's get started. We got 7 ways that we can be a better reader. And the first one is this: choose books that will be most beneficial for you.
One of the wisest men to ever live, King Solomon, said in the book of Ecclesiastes, there is no end to the number of books in his day, like way back then, And so you think about, here we are in 2024, there's a bunch of books that have been written. You can go to a library, you can go to a local bookstore, and where do you start? If you want to begin to read books, where do you start? So my suggestion to you, especially as a follower of Jesus, when you begin to build the habit of reading, it really is selecting books that are going to be beneficial for you. Yeah. Because let's just be honest, there are some books that are not.
Right.
If you think about the untold number of books that have been written over the years, there really are a lot that are worthless.
Exactly.
And you think about the big publishers that put out books, they're let's just be honest, they're in it to make money. Mm-hmm. And so you're not always getting some of the best stuff you could read when you go and you look at the New York bestseller list or whatever the case may be. And so for me as a follower of Jesus, the books that are most beneficial for me are those books that are going to help me to grow in my walk with the Lord. They're going to help me to be a better father, a better leader, those kinds of things. And so I focus in on specific types of books that I want to read, and then I start, asking others, hey, in this specific area, what are the best books I could read? Mm-hmm. People I look up to or admire, I try to ask the question, hey, the people that I know who are avid readers, what's helped you in this area? And that's been very helpful for me. So just what I try to do every year is I try to read a few books that are heavy theological books, right? And 2 I'm reading this year were suggestions from Logan, who read a couple books in seminary that I did not read that have been very helpful for me. Logan, you heard him on the podcast a few weeks ago. He's doing his PhD in ethics. Right. He recommended an ethics book that I read through earlier this year that was really helpful. In his missions class he teaches with our Northwest School of Ministry, they go through a book called The Mission of God. It's about a 1,000-page book. It's thick. But I'm reading through it right now, and it's very, very helpful. So I'll, other guys in ministry, I'll ask, hey, what are the best theological books you've read recently? And because every year I want to read some theological books. They're going to help me to grow in my understanding of the Word of God. Every year I want to read some practical ministry. This is for me as a pastor. I want to read some practical ministry books, right? Yeah. Like what books are going to help me to be a better pastoral leader? They're going to teach me some skills that I could use in ministry. Every year I want to read some biographies. Right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I read one this year already that was pretty interesting, and wasn't a spiritual biography. It was a biography of Pete Rose. I grew up I've always been a baseball fan, and the whole Pete Rose saga was real big when I was a little kid. So there was this new biography came out, and I read it, and it was really fascinating. And there's, again, for me, there's different categories every year I'm trying to read in, but I want to read those things that are going to be most beneficial for me. They're going to help me to think through something, help me to grow my walk with the Lord, and those reads that I want just to, areas of interest like baseball or whatever the case may be. So if you are not an avid reader, man, just this year, set a goal. If you read 5 or 6 books this year, you're doing better than most.
Oh, man,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, like, some books that have been really instrumental for me, Holiness of God by R.C. Sproul.
Oh, yeah,
that was the first.
That's a life-changing
That was the first
book.
Christian book I ever read outside the Bible. Read it as a sophomore in college. It was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for something to read, The Holiness of God by R.C. Sproul, Spiritual Disciplines by Donald Whitney.
Yes.
Prayer by Tim Keller. We read that as a staff recently. Or some classics, Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. Reach out to us. We can give you some suggestions, but I would just challenge you to begin choosing some books that are really beneficial for your spiritual growth and dive in.
Yeah, I have a list of I've had several people say, well, if you could have 100 books that I should read, what should they be? And I had that list of 100 books that I actually give to people. And,
that's good.
They can pick and choose whatever they want.
I probably should put together a list too.
Yeah, I think that's a great way because you can just say, these are good, and I give a little synopsis, and then they're able to say, okay, I'd like to read that. But, for instance, in my case, Watchman Nee, The Normal Christian Life was very moving for me.
Kind of a spiritual classic as well.
Andrew Murray, Absolute Surrender. That was very
powerful.
Yeah, those two probably are the biggest. Hudson Taylor's Spiritual Secret was huge for me.
We named Hudson after Hudson Taylor.
Yeah, I know, which is cool. I tell everybody that. Yeah. But that was very powerful and moving for me, especially when it comes to missions. So there are books that were just overwhelming to help me in my walk. Yeah. And I read these early on in my Christian walk, so helped me a lot.
Yeah.
So choose books that'll help you.
Choose books that'll help you.
Number 2, read 20 pages a day.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
It doesn't sound like much.
It doesn't sound like much, but
it's more of a discipline than it is
that's
like,
the discipline piece, right? Now, I say 20 pages a day because for the average reader, if you read 20 pages a day, word for word, right, not skimming, but actually read the 20 pages a day, the average reader takes about an hour to read 20 pages a day. So you think about it, that's 1 hour a day. 20 pages a day, 1 hour a day. I would say the average book length is what, 200?
Right.
250 pages. Right. So if you read just 20 pages a day, you can finish a book in less than 2 weeks.
That's incredible.
Right? And so over the year, you've read 20 to 25 books fairly easily just by reading an hour a day. So it's really not even that big of a time commitment to read a good number of books over the course of a year. I'm at a place in life where I'm busy just like everybody else is. I have kids. When I was in the PhD program at New Orleans Seminary, it was pretty common that I was reading 2 and 3 books a week. It was a lot of reading, right? I can't do that anymore. I've got a wife and kids, and so
you have a life too.
I have a life, so I do still read about 20 pages a day though. Yeah, and I think last year I read about 30 books. I'll read that many again this year, I'm sure. But it's it's about an hour a day is what I read. And for me it's early in the morning. I get up, have my time with the Lord. And then I usually just, after I've had my time with the Lord, pick up that book I'm trying to read through, and before everybody gets up, I'm not good at night. I'll fall asleep. Maybe you're good at night, but it's finding that time where you can read 20 minutes a day, right? But 20 pages a day, it'll get you there, and anybody can do that. That is not an undoable goal. That's a very doable goal.
And I have Friday's our day off, and so I always try to read a lot more on Friday. So I'll read more than an hour at least, and even my Bible time, I take more time with that too. So use days that are already built for you to have some off time, That's what I say. Anyway, all right, number 3, don't feel obligated to finish every book you start.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Amen.
This is a big one, right? It took me a long time to figure this out, but this was really helpful for me. again, not every book you read is a good book. And you might get some recommendations from somebody that says, hey, this is a great book, you should read it. And you get a couple of chapters in, like, this is not helpful for me.
And then you start skimming. You start saying, okay, is there another good chapter?
You don't have to finish that book.
Yeah.
You can put it down. You can get rid of it. You can throw it away. You don't have to finish every book you start. That's a game changer, right? Because I think sometimes when we start a book, we feel this obligation that we got to get all the way through it, even if we don't like it or if it's not really helping us. We just got to finish it because we started. Now, there are many books on my shelves that I started but did not finish because they were not beneficial for me. I may go back to them at a different season. There might be a season in my life that they're more beneficial for me. But in that particular season, it wasn't, what I needed. It wasn't helpful for me. It wasn't a good book, whatever. You don't have to finish everything you start. Those books that are helpful as you read through the first couple of chapters, like, oh yeah, this is going to be a good one. Finish those books. But those books that you get a couple of chapters in and they're not helpful for you, they're not very beneficial for where you are right now, go on to the next one, right? I mean, because you will, it's really a time waster. If you think about it, reading through a book that's not beneficial for you, for whatever reason, I mean, you could be reading something else that would be more beneficial for you. So use that time wisely and don't feel obligated to finish every book you start.
And one thing that's helped me with that is that I will look in the table of contents, and a lot of times they'll give a description of the chapter.
Yeah.
And so if I get 2-3 chapters in and I'm saying, where is this going? I go to the table of contents and say, this probably not the book I want right now. So, and I kind of put it aside. So another way to help. Number 4. Learn how to chew on, and I think this is what the podcast should have been called, by the way. Learn how to chew on the meat and spit out the bones.
Yeah, that's a big one, right? So not every book I read are about authors that I agree with. I read a lot of books about authors that theologically or practically or whatever the case may be, politically even, I don't agree with, right? So there are people that I don't agree with who still have some insightful things to say and I can still learn from. And so, listen, I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm pretty firm in my convictions and what I believe, and that's not going to be changed. And so I'm able to read authors that I disagree with, and I'm able to chew on the meat, right? Those things they might say, those insights that are helpful for me.
Sure.
But I'm going to spit out the bones, those things that I don't agree with or are not, in alignment with my worldview or whatever the case may be. Case in point, and I mentioned this book Sunday morning, The Anxious Generation. The Anxious Generation is a newer book written by a guy where he is showing us in his book the research about how phones are largely affecting our youth. And it's tremendous research. He's a PhD psychologist, so his research is sound and it's very helpful and eye-opening. But he is not a follower of Jesus. In fact, he is an atheist.
Wow.
And in his book, he talks a lot about evolution and the evolution of the mind and all that kind of stuff. That's the bones. I spit that stuff out.
Sure.
Right? Like,
sure.
I don't agree with him when he talks about evolution. I don't agree with him when he talks about his atheism and how that affects the way he views things. I don't agree with him at all.
Right.
But there's still good stuff there for me to chew on. Like the research that he puts forward in that book about how, a phone-based culture is negatively affecting the minds of our teenagers is really, really insightful and helpful. And I'm already using it. In fact, I mentioned it Sunday morning because it's been so insightful, right? So I'm not afraid to read the book, even though I don't agree with him theologically, because I can spit that stuff out.
Sure.
But there are still some things in that book that are helpful for me, and things that I will even use in ministry. That research I've already used in ministry, right? So that ability to chew on the meat and spit out the bones is really helpful when you're reading, because there are some smart people out there that do have some things to say because of the common grace of God. God has given everybody a brain.
Of course.
And everybody can have some good insights from time to time. And so I want to gain from those good insights and those insights that I feel like are not consistent with my worldview or what I believe about the scriptures. I'm just going to toss those aside, but I'm going to take those good insights and I'm going to learn from them. So be able to chew on the meat and spit out the bones.
I also found out, I started reading C.S. Lewis, I guess in 12th grade or maybe freshman year. But anyway, that's
good, yeah.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is
he wasn't a Southern Baptist.
Yeah, he wasn't a Southern Baptist, and I was told not to read him.
Yeah, I mean,
I said, well, let me see what he says, but and then I realized I agree. Again, there's things you don't agree with, but for the most part, you say this guy's got a lot of good stuff to say.
So C.S. Lewis is a good example, though, because he was an Anglican and a faithful follower of Jesus, but theologically has some different views than those of us who are of a more of a Baptistic tradition would have.
Dietrich Bonhoeffer, same way.
Same way. There's lots of Christian authors that, by and large, on the fundamentals of the faith, right, the primary doctrines we would agree with, but some of those secondary issues we would not. And so I don't have a problem with reading C.S. Lewis at all. I've gained a lot from C.S. Lewis over the years, even though there are some things with him that I differ with. Sure. Tim Keller is a modern example. Tim Keller is one of my favorite preachers and one of my favorite contemporary authors that I've gained so much from reading him. And we're theologically aligned on a lot of stuff, but there are some things we're not. And so I know that going in. So I'm able to, again, chew on the meat and spit out the bones, and that's okay.
All right, number 5, choose a format that least distracts you.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we live in an age where you don't have to read a book that is bound in paper.
Okay.
We have digital books, right?
Yeah.
You can read on your iPad. You can read on your Kindle. You can read on your phone. You have lots of different options to read. And so I bet you the majority of people listening, when they read, prefer to read a physical copy of the book, right?
I'll bet you that's right.
And so if that's you, that's good. Because when you have that physical copy of the book, notifications can't pop up.
That's
right.
True. That's
you can't
true.
say, "Well, I want to take 30 seconds and go check Facebook, and I'll be right back." And then an hour later, you're still on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
So if you have that kind of brain, that's a little ADD, and a mind that tends to jump into different places, reading a physical copy of a book is probably the most helpful for you.
And that might
because
be why.
if you are reading off an iPad or a screen, you have a tendency to be distracted. I read off of a Kindle for a number of years, and I'll still read off a Kindle. That was very helpful for me. So for me personally, I am about 99% a digital reader because it's convenient for me, right? To have I can have my whole library. I have Kindle books. I have books on Everend. I have books on my Bible software, and so to have an iPad, I have access in my hand literally to thousands of books, right? And it's very easy when I travel or when I go somewhere to pull out my iPad, and I can read 4 or 5 different books at a time, right? Because I have the access on my digital device. That's helpful for me. But even with that, I've got to fight that temptation. If I really want to get into deep reading, I've got to turn my internet off, or I have to turn off the notifications, or delete my Facebook app for a few hours, or whatever, so that I'm not distracted. So I have to do some very intentional things to keep myself from being distracted. Because if you do digital reading on a device like an iPad, it is very easy to be distracted. So listen, there are some great advantages to having an iPad and all the apps to read from, but just know that you might not do your best reading on that because of the distractions. So find ways to work around those distractions.
I am the absolute opposite. When I read faster and better on a Kindle, or actually on my iPad, which is what I have now with the Kindle app. And I just do. I'm shocked when I finish a book. I go, what? I'm already done?
Yeah.
Because I think when I have a book, I think, oh, how many more pages I got? I don't ever do that. I'm just going and going and going, and I'm not even paying attention to where I am. So anyway,
for me, again,
everybody's different.
Some people like to write in their books. I've found great ways to take notes on my iPad, or so I don't I don't feel like the necessity of having a paper book, whatever the case may be. But what I want you to get in the habit of doing, when it's reading time, it's reading time.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're going to read those 20 pages a day, you've got to limit the distractions. You got to turn the notifications off, whatever the case may be. Yeah. Read the paperback book, whatever. Limit the distractions.
Sure. This is interesting, and I have been told I need to be doing this. I track it, I guess, in my brain, but you say this, number 6, track your reading.
Yeah, actually write down every year what you've read. Keep a log. Not only write it down, but I've found it helpful just to write down a couple of sentences of how the book was helpful for me or something like that. I mean, that's really good. An easy way to do that these days, I mean, everything you can do on an app. There's an app called Goodreader.
Yeah, I've heard.
Where
I have started to use that.
I'll take that and select the books I want to read and keep it in a category, and then it helps you to keep track of the books you've read. It's really helpful. So I use that app pretty regular. But just track your reading. Like, keep a journal of what you've actually read. That's really, really helpful, so that you can have something to go back to jog your memory of the books you read, and also why those books were significant for you, right? So part of being a learner is learning how to be a good note taker, and just tracking things is going to help you to retain some of that information that you gain from those books. So track your reading.
All right. And then finally, number 7, take advantage of audiobooks.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of people right now saying amen.
Yeah, so, I like audiobooks. So, and that's been a discipline I have built over the last few years because, when I get in the car, typically what I like to listen to are my podcast or some sports or some Fox News or whatever the case may be. And so I've been very intentional over the last few years that when I have time to listen, whether it's a car ride or I'm cutting the grass or the case may be, to listen to audio books more than I listen to a podcast or something else. And so now I cannot listen to every kind of book. That makes sense?
Explain.
So if it's like a deeply theological book.
Oh, okay. I see.
Like the Mission of God that I'm reading right now.
Right. You just can't.
I can't listen to that. I've got to read that with my eyes. But things like biographies, those kinds of books, I prefer to actually listen to because I tend to get through them a little bit better than I do actually reading them on paper or on my digital copy. So leadership books for me are real easy to listen to. Anytime I read, and I don't read a lot of fiction, I could do more fiction, but when I do read fiction, audiobooks are usually the way I do fiction because I'm able to get through them a little more quickly that way. But audiobooks are really helpful because I can use margin time to read.
Yeah.
So in the car,
basically when you're not doing something,
in the car, or if I'm doing housework or whatever,
at a
cooking dinner, doctor's appointment, whatever the case may be, I can use that margin time to plug my headphones in and listen to a book. And I've been able to get through lots of books in the audio version, especially those books are a little bit easier to read, whether it's leadership book, a biography, whatever the case may be. That's been super helpful for me. And so just, again, that's a great tool. We have lived in a time and an age where we have the technology that you can listen to a lot of books, and that can really help you to grow in your ability to read lots of books. And so all this to say, I know this doesn't seem like a super spiritual topic, but if you're growing as a Christ follower, there are just, again, a plethora of books that you can read to help you in your walk with the Lord. And becoming a disciplined reader is going to help you to learn so much more about the Scripture, about how God's been working in His church through church history. It's really, really important to develop the habit of reading.
And I will say this, one other thing about audiobooks is that even if you are not a good reader, what it does is it helps you pushes you through the book. You can actually open a book or open your Kindle or whatever it is. It'll read to you, and you can actually have the words there for you too.
Yeah.
So it kind of pushes you through the book, and that helps to
absolutely
get you through books.
Absolutely.
Well, Pastor, this has been awesome, and I do think it's a spiritual discipline, in the sense of we are trying to find things out that we can help, that can help us in our Christian walk and serving the Lord and all those things, and it's very important.
That's right.
So as we choose our next book, why don't you get us ready for next week?
I hope this has been a helpful podcast for you, that you've gained some insight from today's episode, and if this has been a blessing to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can have new content delivered to your device every single week. Leave us a 5-star review. That helps us get word out about our podcast, and as always, we hope today's episode has helped you connect faith to life.